Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena and welcome. I want to share with you today what I call the burden of financial illiteracy. The burden of financial illiteracy. Um, One of the challenges around the world, and mainly, of course, among our people, is the kind of decisions that we make when it comes to finance. And financial knowledge has become something that is troublesome, I think, for us. And if you look at us as Africans, our choices, our decisions, uh, depict the kind of financial knowledge that we've been given. And I will not even say just Africans. I will also say um, just people around the world. People around the world, many people around the world, their financial decisions, our financial choices, they have a lot to do with the kind of training, the kind of knowledge, the kind of understanding that we have had with finances. Because most people think that once they have very good education from the university or from the from maybe they went to technical school or they went through apprenticeship, people think that those things are enough for them to get money, and it's because of the financial knowledge that we have had. And then a lot of our choices depict whether we have financial literacy or we are illiterate in terms of finances. And so let's go through it and see what can be understood and what can be done. Um, School really does not teach us much about finances. So in your secondary school, in your junior secondary school, uh, even in your university, I think that almost 90% of the people who finish school, even at the higher level, don't get proper understanding of finance. So the person is trained in very good area, technical area, but his financial knowledge is that weak. It's because nobody told us financial knowledge. Nobody taught us how finance is. So you can have prominent people who are prominent in society, who can be anything, lawyers, doctors, judges, uh, pastors, politicians, all kind of people that people think that they know much, but their knowing or the much that they know is most of it outside the finances. So the financial literacy is that much high across board, and you can see them even in the choices of nations, like the people who lead countries and the kind of financial decisions that they make. So not only with that, how about those of us or those who did not go much in terms of education? Same, because our choices depict that. And so school does not help us with respect to financial yeah, has not helped us that much when it comes to financial dealing with financial illiteracy. And going to school actually is different from going to school, and getting some kind of profession is really different from getting the right financial knowledge to handle your finances all throughout your life. So it's a professional development, career. Those things are much separate from finances. The other day I was reading about an argument that somebody was making, that we live in a country where people who have had education are poorer than those than criminals without any education. And that is one of the things that will show that people are financially illiterate, because you can't say that because you have gone to school financially you know what you're doing. And so the school gets you some kind of skill, some kind of professional, you become something. But in terms of the skill and the knowledge to create finance, it's not the school, because most of the teachers who were teaching you were barely working for money, and they had no other place. Majority of them had no other place to make money apart from coming to, work and at the end of the month being paid. And so financial literacy is a major problem around the globe, and you can see them in our country as well. And that's why you see people who get offended when they see somebody that they think are much more educated than, and that person happens to have more money than them. So people confuse getting a job and getting salary or doing business to get income as financial knowledge or financial skills. They are not the same. They are different. The fact that you work and they pay you monthly does not mean that you have what it takes to become successful, or you have dealt with your financial illiteracy, because all of us have some level amount of literacy, of lack of knowledge, of skill, and of understanding when it comes to finances. And we try to replace that with the fact that we went to school, or with the fact that we have been working for years and we've been paid, we've been we've been getting salary. And the fact that we've been getting salary, most of us confuse that with financial illiteracy or financial knowledge, and it's not true. You just went to school to study engineering, you just went to school to study agriculture, you went to school to study nursing or medicine or something like that, and you work and they pay you. That cannot replace, or that cannot lift you out of your financial illiteracy. It's something that you have got to learn yourself, and it will show in your choices. And but our results prove that much of what we know, we're still running with a lot of financial illiteracy as a people. Money will not make you. They say that money will not make you happy. People make those kind of statements all the time. You don't need money to be happy. Money is not everything. Some people even say that money is evil, or God will take care of you financially. Those kind of statements all depict the kind of financial knowledge that we have, or I have, or you have. And we heard a lot of those from the culture, from the home that we came from, the families that we came from, and sometimes even from the churches and from society at large. So we think that I think that a lot of us have been groomed, and have been groomed such that the literacy in terms of money is very high. In terms of money is very, very much high. And that's why people end up trying to become, they steal, they lie, they cheat to get money, because the knowledge, the skill to get the money is not there. And when they say that somebody is illiterate, the literal meaning is that the person cannot read, cannot write. So let's say I am illiterate. I can't read, I can't write. I can speak maybe, but I can't read, I can't write. I can't build a proper argument with maybe the kind of information or the kind of training that I had. The same, when you're financially illiterate, it assumes that you cannot read financially and you cannot write financially. So which means that if they test you, you will fail. And you would want to assume that because you can read law, because you can read technical drawings, maybe you're a civil engineer, or because you can read what is it? You can read engineering, you think that you are financially literate. It's not true. They depict in our skill, financial knowledge, our discipline with finances. They show a lot. They show a lot with the kind of financial knowledge that we have. And so financial literacy is really at the bottom of the kind of decisions and choices that all of us make. Lack of the ability to utilize the right financial knowledge and financial skills to make the right financial decisions, to get the right financial results, which will help us to secure financial freedom or financial security. The lack of it is the literacy. The lack of it is the literacy. So lack of financial literacy, or lack of financial literacy, when our financial illiteracy will be the reason why we get into a lot of wrong choices with money. So when you have money, the decisions that you make with that money will show whether you are financially literate or you're financially literate. So maybe, how do you get your revenue? How do you get your income? Is it only one, just you work and they pay you? Or you have other things that bring in money? And when you get the money, how do you handle the money? Let's say you are going to get loan. When you get the loan, what kind of loan do you get? Do you get the loan to go and buy TV, big screen in your house that your children are watching and jumping, and for you to feel that you're successful? Or you get the loan to buy a big car and you're paying bit by bit over 5 years, and you're stressing, you're going to work, you have no breathing space, and those kind of things. They show our financial illiteracy or financial knowledge that we have, or the lack of it. So your plan, your financial plan that you have, the savings, the investments that you have, all those will show whether you are financially illiterate or you're financially literate. And so it's a burden. When you are illiterate, it's a burden. My grandmother cannot read, cannot write. Anytime that she gets any letter, she would have to call one of the grandchildren or the children to read for her. She does not speak English, because in our country, if you can speak English, it's likely that you went to school. So if somebody is speaking English, she would have to call you. Same. So when you don't understand, it will show in her choices if somebody else does not help her in terms of the decisions. So illiteracy, the illiteracy is seen in how we budget, in our understanding of what it takes to create wealth, and what it takes to even build wealth. So if you're financially illiterate, the passion and the emotions about money are different from the one who has better knowledge and better skills with respect to money. So if the way you think about the house that you have built and how you built it, if you work all your life to put money in that house, and you have that house built now, and you're very happy, you think that you're rich, it shows the level of financial illiteracy that you have. If you have to have the money to go and buy the car, spend a lot of money to put your children into school, and you say that when I send them to good school, they'll become successful. Those are all depict a kind of financial illiteracy, or the financial knowledge that we don't have. Your financial freedom is very much important. You cannot sacrifice it, and is separate from your professional or career development. It's separate from all the degrees that you're acquiring. Because most of us, the reason we go to get all these degrees is that so that we can get better job, better pay. So majority of the world's population, that is what they have told us, that if you are able to get the degree, the masters, the PhD, you'll be paid well. Isn't that deceptive? It works with only the salary. But those who control a lot of wealth, they didn't make the wealth because they went to university. They make the wealth because they're being paid well. A lot of them is because they studied it. They fought the illiteracy, the financial literacy themselves, and did not fight that from the school, because the way the school has been structured, the school has not been structured, the kind of degrees that they are giving us has not been structured to make any of us financially literate, because it's not part of it at all. They will not teach you things about investment, things about cash flow, capital, how to make the right decisions, things about taxes. The need for you to develop the financial knowledge and skill to handle your own finances, and even how to deal with debt, savings, credit, having a plan to deal with all this. Because all of us humans, so long as you're on this earth, you're making a lot of decisions with money. And yet it's one of the things that they did not add to our course content. They did not add to the things that we study. And so that is what the world has programmed us. And you have a lot of very intelligent men, very intelligent women who come out with all kind of argument when it comes to money. And the argument, they are all coming out of the illiteracy. So they look nice, they look collected, they look like they are educated, but when it comes to finances, the illiteracy shows. And they could be anybody, they could be anybody in the society, but the financial knowledge will show in the kind of financial freedom that they've been able to build after this war. After this war, the kind of financial freedom that they've been able to build, their choices that they've been able to make when it comes to finances will show in all the decisions that they make. And it's not something that they teach easily in school. They don't teach these things in school. They teach them they teach them somewhere, not in schools. And I always wondered why they did not teach us those, because a lot of us are going to make those decisions with the money, you know, with the little information that they gave us. So you see a very nice guy trying to build a lot of argument as to why, somebody made a statement today and they were saying that journalists cannot afford some kind of things, and some of the journalists, in the country were pissed off, were angry, said that, listen, if you are working for money and you are getting salary, what the man was saying is true. How can you build millions, apartments, houses, if you work for salary or you do side business and you're honest? It's difficult, for anybody to build any business, genuine business, that is making a million excess that he does not need, not the capital. He will be able to build that kind of wealth over a very short time, because most of the journalists are young people. If you have 10 million somewhere, let's face it, there is some kind of issues with character. So it takes financial knowledge. You have your profession as a journalist, but a lot of you, the kind of things that you throw out and the kind of arguments that you come up with, they show that you are financially not strong. You're financially weak, and your financial uh, illiteracy shows in the kind of things that you are throwing at us. So the knowledge that you pay attention to should be the knowledge that can change your financial situation. A lot of us are very much infatuated with news, political news, all kind of news, but not the news, or not the training, not the information that will change our financial situation, because our financial literacy is very high, because we think that we don't need any information, we don't need any knowledge when it comes to finances, because most of us just think that, oh, once I finish school, I have what it takes to create wealth, because that's all that they told you, that once you go to school, you are equipped enough to become rich. That is the biggest lie that they told you. That is the biggest lie that they told you. And that if you're going to create the wealth better than your situation now, there is some kind of financial knowledge that you need. There is some kind of financial skills that you need. And after a while that you have practiced them, you'll be able to build the financial wealth that you are looking for. So college will not help you in terms of financial, creating a lot with finances. The fact that you even study business in school, most of us were studying business, but we studied them just for the exam, just for the certificates, because you can meet a lot of these guys who have done accounting and business studies, and the only way that they make money is when they get paid at the end of the month. It shows your financial level, the level of understanding that you have with finances, and how you even spend the money. And these things are also affect how we even run our businesses, because your financial knowledge that you have as an individual, they are going to contribute to the financial choices that you're going to make when you have your own businesses. So some people, when they start the business and they start to make some profit, they start to see some leverage. The first income that comes, they want to buy a car or build house or go and buy nice shoe, things like that, because for them, that means that they have reached somewhere. And that shows, or because all those choices are coming out of our financial decisions and our financial literacy or illiteracy. And financial literacy is a bad thing, because it shows in your choice when you are going to, the way you are happy with loans, and even if it is heavy, you don't look at the interest rate because you don't understand the numbers. And a lot of us made a lot of wrong decisions because we're financially illiterate. So you are negotiating for the loan and they're charging you big percentage every month, but you didn't see, because you're financially were weak. Financially were weak. And when you start to get the money, you went to buy the plot and you started to stack all the money in a project, and yet you didn't have a lot of allowance to even start that kind of capital intensive project. It's all coming from financial decisions. You had money and you started to go, say that the moment you started to get the money, you want to marry. You locked the money in the marriage, and that marriage was not bringing you any other revenue at all. So the money is supposed to be made, save, and then you're supposed to have proper understanding as to how you're going to grow that money. And the people's ability to grow that money is dependent on their financial scale financial knowledge. So our inability to grow the money and to expand it and to understand the numbers is because of our financial literacy. And so if we can't do it rightly, then there will be a lot of stress, a lot of burden, and people are burdened, especially in Africa, when it comes to finances, because the financial people think that it's not a skill. It is a skill. It's a function of knowledge, and that knowledge is not taught in the classroom. That knowledge, if you are happy, if you're lucky to have had parents who understood it, they probably will tell you. Apart from this, I don't think that there is any other place that they teach people how to create wealth other than working for money. So 90% of the world's population or more, the only understanding of money is that we work, we wait for the month, and we get the money, we spend it. And that's why it is illiteracy, and it's very high. It's very high across the world, and it's very high in our country at all. That's why when people start life and they don't have job, they become that much jittery, and they have not solved their financial literacy. I think that when you finish school, you should solve your financial literacy first before you even you start to read and understand the numbers, understand what it means to be financially literate or financially literate. You should study it before you even start to think about job at all, because then you start the job, you get C's because you think that you that's all that you need to create a success, and really it's a fallacy. The fact that you're working and they're paying you does not mean that you have solved that financial illiteracy problem that all people have. If you're born into this world, it's a problem that most people will not be able to solve all their lives. Most people will not be able to solve financial literacy all their lives because they are not aware that is a problem at all. Most people are not aware that financial literacy is a problem. They only think that once they get a place to work, everything else will be all right. And that is not true. Everything else is not going to be all right just because you have a job. To create financial prosperity, you have to first of all deal with the financial illiteracy. You have to deal with it first. And when you have dealt with it, then you will see that what it takes to build that financial wealth will be different from just working for money. And your emotions with respect to money will even improve. So some of the things that you would have to learn, which is very much important, will be what is how do you make income? How do you make your income? How do you make your revenue? Is it just the salary, or the other things that you can do to make the income? And how do you spend the money? How do you understand savings? How do you understand investment? How do you understand cash flow? Things like that. Have you studied them? And you're not studying them just for the exam. That's not what I'm talking of. You studying them and practicing them. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you don't study it, then there's a burden for you. It will be a struggle because you cannot carry the employee's understanding of money to run a business, because you are making a lot of choices when it comes to money. And so you have to go through a lot to quickly deal with the financial illiteracy, or to become a burden that will kill you fast, because it's a burden for a lot of people around the world. And it's independent of people's professional exposure, people's technical understanding, people's status in society. It really does not show that much until they have studied it. And so all that you knew, if everything that you knew about money was to only work for money and spend it and enjoy life, as people say, then financial problems will be many. And your financial literacy will show in how you plan for the future, because you will grow. You become 30, you become 40, you become 50, you go into what they call retirement, and your financial literacy will show in that. And so if you're a young person, and if you don't see it as a threat, as a burden to your future, you have got to read and see it as a burden. And employment or unemployment, even though it's good that you solve the unemployment problem, the main reason will be to solve the financial literacy problem. Because once you get your financial literacy tackled, you start to see the numbers clearly. You start to understand money. You start to understand the finances. You start to make right choices with it. Because all of us at some point start to get some kind of money, whether we work or not. Some kind of money come to us. The decisions that we make with the kind of money that comes to our hands will just reflect the kind of financial literacy that we have, the level of the literacy, if you've been able to reduce the burden, or we just enjoying it, so the literacy is very much pervasive. It's very much pervasive, and the people in suit and tie with big portfolio, big names around. If you see their bank accounts, and if you see their convictions and the understanding of finances, you show that they show that they have not really understood the subject. They have not dealt with that kind of literacy. Just as we give birth to a child and we send them to school so that they can read, they can write, and deal with a lot of things, in this life. But the only disadvantage is that the number one thing that everybody has to, deal with, money, is not part of that illiteracy that they are solving. And so they will solve the English, they will solve the mathematics, they will solve all those with your teacher. But you will still finish the degree, even go for this master's, sometimes even go for a PhD, sometimes even work and become a diplomat, prominent man in society, and you still didn't solve the financial literacy. Because that one somebody should have given you the basis, and they didn't teach you in the school. And if you happen to have a family that did not understand some of these things, they would not also have taught you. So you are a big man now, but your financial decisions and your financial choices and the kind of words that you use when it comes to money, and the kind of things that you do when it comes to money, they go to prove that you are financially illiterate. You're financially illiterate. And so those who are financially illiterate, that professional training that you're always getting, you're going for conferences every week, every month, but you don't go for financial conferences. You don't deal with the financial literacy. Every year you go for training as a doctor, you go for training as an engineer, but you never taken one course. You never taken one seminar. You never gone for one conference, or you never even picked a book to read or listen to somebody teach you the basis of finance. And I'm not talking of the finance that they are using to work in the bank. No, I'm talking of the finances that can help you to create your financial, build a financial security for your future, build financial freedom for yourself. That will help you to build and grow your business, because the financial literacy, if it's not dealt with, the business cannot be built. No matter how much revenue comes to the business, if the literacy in terms of finance is very high, you will lose that money, because you go and negotiate the loan and you go and negotiate it wrongly. You will just apportion the money into areas that you didn't have to. You go and buy things that you didn't have to. You should have created some level of income, invested the money well, and you would not have done that because financially you were illiterate. You didn't understand it, and it will crash. It becomes a burden on you, because most businesses become burdened because of the financial decisions that are being made by the people in charge. And so the results of our lives in terms of finances will prove whether we were financially illiterate or we were literate. And it's a burden. It is a burden for many people. They just look nice, dress nice, talk well, talk big English. They can be top government officials, and you see how they talk, you see that they are financially illiterate. Okay, if you see the things that they are passionate about, you see that they don't understand it. And nations that are being run well, the top people probably, I don't know, maybe have little understanding, and they've been able to reduce the burden that financial literacy brings. So financial literacy brings a lot of burden to a lot of people. But it's basically lack of ability and skill and knowledge and understanding to make the right financial decisions that will bring financial progress, financial security, financial freedom. And they show in how we make our financial decisions. Poor financial decisions are as a result of poor, or as a result of financial literacy. Okay, and people, you can admire somebody. You could be a footballer who is being paid thousands, You could be a surgeon who's being paid thousands. Sometimes you could even be a businessman who is winning all kind of contracts, but his financial literacy has not been dealt with that much. So after a while, you see the results in their life. So that's why you hear some, oh, the boy when he was playing for most of these international teams, he made a lot of money. Then after 5 years that he stopped playing, everything is gone because he did not deal with the literacy. He did not deal with the literacy because your decisions are going to be coming, your financial decisions are going to be coming from the financial illiteracy, that whether you have dealt with it or whether it's still a burden to you. And it's a burden to a lot of people. So most people focus on only, even when they are training or they are reading, they focus on only becoming better professionally. And if you see a lot of people going to go back to school, they are going to go back to school to do courses that will not improve their financial. That will not help them to improve their financial understanding, their financial literacy. Because the world is programmed like that. The world will teach us everything, but not the things that will make us financially free, because that's how they control the world anyway. So the knowledge is not that the one that will make you free, because if you have enough money, there are some jobs that you will not take. Let's face it. And it's the number one duty of every human being to solve the money problem. Because when you solve the money problem, then you can help society, you can help the world with a passion, with a gift. You can really do the things that you are passionate about when you have been able to solve the money problem. Because you can be a gifted gifted surgeon, but if you're going to work every day and you're burdened and you cannot pay your rent, you cannot pay your mortgage, you have a bad car, you'll be disappointed. You feel like your life is a waste. But it's not. You just refuse to understand that the financial literacy that you did not deal with was responsible for your financial security and your financial freedom. And the course that they taught you in the school was just responsible for the things that you were supposed to change in this life. And they don't meet. That's why they pay you salary. The salary is just to compensate for the things that you're doing, but the salary is not supposed to make you rich. And that they did not tell those who went to school. So I'm a lecturer in the university, and they told me that once I become a lecturer, I'll be able to get salary. You will get salary. If your financial illiteracy is still a burden for you, if you have not dealt with it, your salary will not mean anything. You will serve for 40 years, and after the 40 years, you will have nothing to show because you did not deal with the financial illiteracy. So the financial literacy is actually the one that makes everybody financially free. And it is, for me, it is very much separate from the professional training, the professional accolades that you're going to get. Okay, so any profession that you do, you can become passion. That's what passion is for. Passion is it's a gift. It's connected to your gift, and it's for that which you can do for mankind. So if you happen to have knowledge in that, then you can become a professional in that, and that's the best one. But the fact that you have passion for it and the fact that you are helping mankind with it does not mean that you are going to be compensated in terms of financial security, in terms of financial freedom that much. It's not true. That's a fallacy. If somebody tells you that once you have a passion, you become rich, once you find your gift, you become rich, not necessarily so. If your financial knowledge is weak, you will not become that rich. They will pay you salary. But when they pay you the salary, how do you turn that salary into richness? How do you turn that salary into financial freedom? And what are the decisions that you're going to make for that money that comes to your hand? That information has nothing to do with whether you're a lawyer or your doctor or your judge, and sometimes whether even you're a business person or a banker. No. It depends on the kind of quality of information, the kind of education that you're giving to yourself, how you've been able to deal with this burden that we call financial literacy, because it's a burden around the world. And you can see it on the faces of a lot of people. People put up a lot of arguments when it comes to finances. They come up with all kind of thinking, and you know that this man is talking out of financial literacy. He is respected in the society. He has big position, but he's an ignorant, person when it comes to finance, because his choices are weak. And some of them can even be financial experts. who have worked all their life only for salary, but they've not been able to grow the income. Because the financial burden that I'm talking of is, if you've been able to deal with it, after a while, you start to have your freedom. You can say that I'm not going to work for money again. I'm going to work and follow my dream, because you've been able to work to accumulate enough and multiply it and made right decisions with it. If your financial knowledge is weak, you are the one who gets first money. You want to buy a car and drive that car to work. If you have money, your essence of the money is a seed. The essence of money that comes to your hand is to be multiplied. That's the first one. And then when the multiplication comes, we can eat out of the excess. But if a majority of the West population, our financial knowledge is weak, we are illiterate. It's a burden for us. Okay, so when the money comes, we want to show off. We want to buy the nice car. We want to do proper wedding. We want to change our clothes. We want to build a nice house. We want to go to school again. We want, the things that we make decisions with money. That is why it's a burden for majority of the West population. And I dare say that is about 90% or more of the West population have this burden of financial literacy. And a majority of them don't even know that is the reason why they struggle with finances all their lives. Because it's not a subject that they studied. It's not a subject that they learn. And most of them don't even know that they really needed to learn that subject at all, because nobody told them. It was hidden from them. And I don't know why it's been hidden from us, but it's been hidden. The words that we use on money, the things that we say on money, the arguments that we build on money, they all show that it's still a burden for a lot of people. You see some of these guys who sit on radio and discuss all the things that they discuss, you can know that the finance is a burden. So they're still in the financial literacy. Some of the politicians, when they are talking, you know that this guy, the finance, he doesn't know. Okay, and I'm not talking of finance minister, no, not. I'm talking of the financial knowledge that can change and build the secure future that you want financially. And that one is different. That one is entirely different from what you are expecting to get from school. So when you go to school, go to school. It broadens your mind. It makes you confident in a way. But the school that you're going, no matter what course you do, if you're just going to go work for the salary, that one will never be able to build the secure financial future, the freedom that you have. So go to the school if you want and get all those, but they don't solve the financial illiteracy burden. It's a burden for a lot of people. And so they become frustrated after a while that they bought a lie, that if they finish that professional course and they start to work in this big company, their financial problems will be gone. That's a lie that they told you. You will just have a nice house, nice car, dress nice, but you'll still be in red for a very long time. The situation is not going to improve because you have not solved the burden. And maybe you are not even aware that is a burden. And most people don't know that is a burden. So if financial security is very much important to you, then you start to read about it. You start to study it. What does it mean to save money? And what is the essence of saving money? Do you save money to just keep it in the bank, or you save money to multiply it and invest it somewhere? Do you what does it mean for you? Is when they call something like an investment, what is it? Do you know it? When they call something, this is an asset, what your understanding of what they call asset? If you call that Land Cruiser that you have bought an asset, that means that you still have that burden. Financial literacy is very high. You still have that burden because you're calling something that is taking a lot of money from you an asset, and it could not be an asset because an asset must bring in positive cash flow. So somebody maybe can have 3 outlets of businesses and they are bringing income. That person may have better financial knowledge and the burden may be less than the other guy in the Land Cruiser trying to impress everybody that he's rich, but really every month he's in red. Okay, he lives in 10-bedroom house, big house, and he's just living a facade, and most people just live facade. If they fire them from the job, there will be trouble. If they sack them, there will be trouble because they did not build they did not solve that financial illiteracy burden. So it's a burden that is hanging on their neck, is on their head. They get money, they can be stable with the money. And there are a lot of things that they don't know, because it is knowledge. You deal with the burden with the right financial knowledge and the right financial skill, and constant development of that. So your debt, you're going to come out of that debt or financial difficulties if you start to improve your financial knowledge. It's a burden. That burden is why we have the debt. That burden is why the business is collapsing. That burden is why the family is under stress financially. It's a burden because it's illiteracy. You can't read, you can't see the numbers, you can't see the finances. When they put it there, you just speak the English, but you don't understand it. And so you start to get a plan to educate yourself and to deal with this financial burden. And never deceive yourself that you will be able to solve it with you getting certificate upon certificate. It doesn't solve like that. Get the certificates to build a profession for yourself. They will pay you salary, no problem. But your financial illiteracy can hold you from making the right choices with that salary that you get. And you don't have to trivialize finances at all in this life. They break marriages, they break businesses, they destroy lives, people die with it, so you don't have to. And I think that if you happen to start life again, if you happen to come into this life again, and you're ever going to choose education, after choosing the reading and the writing, don't choose the course, choose choose how you would deal with the financial literacy before you ever think of choosing the engineering or the psychology or all those things. Okay, choose how you're going to deal with the financial literacy, because a lot of people didn't get all those certificates, but they are very much financially educated, and that's why they have the businesses, and they're employing the so-called people who went to school, the lawyers who have been to school, the professors who have been to school, all these guys who have been to school. The guy who dealt with the financial problem, the burden, and got the right kind of enlightenment and education is the one employing everybody. All right. And if your financial knowledge is weak, if you're still a burden for you, the only way that you will get to increase your finances will be to steal. People do that because the financial knowledge is the burden for them. Okay, and they don't pay a lot of attention to it. And you should not be that kind of person. You should be that kind of person that will start life and try to solve this burden, because it's a burden. It's a burden for all of us, and it can be a burden for your business. It can be a burden for a lot of people. So solve it. Most people are very much occupied with a lot of information. They have financial problems, all right, but they're still very much occupied with a lot of information that will never improve their lives. Never improve their lives. They're still very much occupied with the marriage, the romance, and all those things. People are very much occupied with them, and yet they are burdened every week, every day, going to look for job, going to the job that they don't like. They are talking every day, they are fighting at home, and yet the burden that is creating that, which is the financial literacy, they are not dealing with it at all. So people in this world, I think that most people are very much happy trying to cover their problems, other than showing up to say that this is a burden that I have to deal with. It's my responsibility to deal with this financial literacy. It's my responsibility. And so instead of you pushing your child to become the best doctor, help them as well to overcome this burden, because it will help them to become the best doctor. If my finances are secure, I can work everywhere with my heart, even if they don't pay me. My heart. I will not be the one changing the invoices, because I've been able to deal with the financial literacy. So if you give me 1,000, I'll be able to make the right decisions with it and grow it, and multiply it. But if I've not been able to deal with the financial illiteracy burden, if you give me 1,000,000, I will miss it. I will still come and steal from you, because I've not been able to solve it, the burden. So I'm still in the dark. I'm still in darkness when it comes to money. And most people in this world are in darkness when it comes to finance. Most people. Very well educated, but illiterate financially. Very well positioned in society, but illiterate financially. their decisions and their choices and their ways their results prove that the finance is weak. And those are the people who are making a lot of noise to say that I don't have to be rich. I don't have to have a lot of money. I can be happy without money. Those kind of things. They are all deceptive. Their financial knowledge is weak. All right. Because if they don't have to have a lot of money, then why do they work for salary? They should be paid 2 cedis and be happy with it. And yet when the salary has not come, they are the ones to go for a looter. So it's a deception. And when your financial knowledge is weak, when you are illiterate and the burden is very high and heavy, you lie. You lie. You lie because it's a burden. You lie, you cheat, you lie all the time because you are not real. The moment you start to see that because money is the only thing that competes with God. Money competes with God. Mammon, God. So if you don't study, that thing becomes a God for you. And it's not whether you have it or you don't have it, it can become a God. And so the financial literacy is a burden for a lot of people. It's a burden. So your number one duty is to understand it and make a lot of right choices so that you can live a more secure and more free financial life, and your future will be safe. And that's why you start. If your financial literacy has been dealt with, you start to plan for the future. You start to plan for the retirement. You start to make the right choices. Every money that comes to your hand, you're able to you make the right decisions with it because you've been able to solve that burden. So thank you very much for watching. Financial literacy is a burden. Solve it. If you solve it, your future, you will smile. You will not have to become a thief. You will not have to live and wait for God to solve it for you. You will not have to make a lot of unfortunate statements. All kind of statements that people make when it comes to money. Money is not everything. Money is evil. God will take care of money. Those things, you will not have to make them because it's a burden for mankind, and which you have to solve. So thank you very much for watching, and you would have to study it and study it well. Thank you.